Is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Who didn't eat up all the food, didn't drink down all the rum sweet. We can scrape it dance all night long to the sounds of the ancient man. Now you done blow your candle, you done look on all your gifts. We done sing a happy birthday.
Good morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Wednesday, the 8th of December, and you are on the clock with Erin Greene. Now, we got to get this show started quick. You heard that song I played. Well, I have about 85 people I was supposed to wish happy birthday yesterday, but I know if I did even mention their birthday yesterday, I was going to get off track. And I really wanted to focus on the conversation that we had yesterday with Dr. Reginald Eldon about death, loss, and grief, right? And these processes and how important it is for us to get a hold of on them, right? At an individual level and more importantly, at a collective level. And so I wanted to focus on that. But this morning, there's no yawning because I got birthday greetings to give. I got about 85 people on this list that I did not tell happy birthday yesterday. Also, because I didn't want you all to play the numbers, I want to give myself the best chance at winning something. So, happy belated but by only 1 day birthday to Travolta Cooper, a Bahamian filmmaker. I think he's somewhere on the continent, the motherland, doing some work right now, I think. Omar Williams, florist and interior designer extraordinaire. Donaveo Sherman, the alchemical chemical. This guy is a healthy food, healthy body wizard. And if anybody got healthy birthday cake, it's Donaveo. Then, happy birthday to Esther Fraser, family friend, childhood friend. Happy birthday. I noticed you didn't call me for no cake. Happy birthday to Eduardo Jackson, the balloon guy, the magic man. Happy birthday. And happy birthday to my niece, Asiana Greene in Florida, with your brand new, bouncing, beautiful baby. Happy birthday. And happy birthday to two very, very good friends who I am remiss for not wishing happy birthday yesterday. To my good friend, Cecil Nuri, who was in studio with me today, so you could tell me thank you on air. That's the most important part. And to my friend, Helen Clanaris, happy birthday, people. Hope you all are having a wonderful day. And I have to say this. Let me tell you why I have to say it like this. Because their birthday is so close to Christmas that they don't get all the birthday excitement that us regular people is get in the rest of the year. So we got to big it up for them. Happy birthday, guys. Now, I'm so happy to be able to do this morning because we're starting the show by talking about traffic. So I had to bring in a positive vibe to start the day. If you want to join this conversation, you could text us at 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Or you could call us at 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. And we're talking about what's in the news today. The carnival, but no Junkanoo. Incentives for vaccines. Where have all the students gone? There's plenty of things. I heard there's an invasion of green in iguana. I thought the person say of green man. And I tell them, I don't care. I related to all the greens. That matters not to me. But before we get into that, Cecil, I did buy you one gift for your birthday. It's my world famous Rum fingers, perfect for church prayer meeting and parliament. If they genuflect into space, it's perfect to put it to your face. Have a sip, wet your lip, then lock it and put it back in your pocket. But that product is not for drivers. And I need to make this note, because a whole bunch of y'all be on this road these days like you're drunk. Like you fell into the bottle of Ratbat. And normally, usually, typically, generally, as a practice, I don't like to use the word stupid. I think it's problematic, and I think when we use it as a slur, as opposed to trying to correctly identify behavior that is so detrimental to the community that the individual acting it out should be removed temporarily, right? Like, that's how intense that word is. But if you was driving that maroon station wagon today, if you was one of them two handsome, good golly, these boy them in this car was just handsome, but stupid. That's a moment of silence for all the women out there looking for a good man and realize how easy it is to get tricked by this beauty and talks out here. These boy them was handsome and stupid. I'm just saying, you could turn left on red, you know. If you stop at the indicating line, you wait for 3 seconds, you assess the intersection, you make sure it's clear, you could turn left on red. But if you're following the car in front of you to turn left on red without stopping at all, then you, my friend, are stupid. You almost killed us this morning. And I know you don't care, but you know who's going to care? The government is going to care. Because I can start suing the government. I can sue the government if I get in an accident caused by somebody being reckless. But I can sue y'all if I have to witness another accident. Because y'all don't seem to take into the account the psychological trauma that people experience witnessing these things, nor do you even want to acknowledge the physical trauma that people experience in their bodies watching these things, right? And you know where it happened. It happened at the world-famous Mackey and Shirley Street intersection. Yesterday, I watched a government plate, a brand new government vehicle, turn right on red at Shirley and Mackey Street. And if you know that intersection, that you know that the only way you could turn right on red is if you are in the southbound and westbound lane, right? Southbound lane to take you westbound onto Shirley Street. It's the only time you could turn right on red at that intersection. So you'll also know that that intersection is a dangerous intersection because it's blind and it's difficult to see the traffic coming from Shirley Street. See, I'm not going to call you stupid because somehow you managed to get yourself behind the wheel of a brand new government car. So you can't be stupid. You just got to be reckless. And then I have to witness 5 cars ignoring the pedestrian on the pedestrian crossing next to Charlotte Street. That's by Bank of the Bahamas and the registry right there. 5, including taxis. Then I get to Cumberland Street, where not just one car runs the light, but a second car runs the light at approximately 45 miles an hour. So you know that they had no idea what was happening on the other side of that hill when they crossed it. And I just think to myself, surely it was Monday of this week that we saw what could have been and was probably an accident involving a tourist. There was a car parked on the side of the road just below the pedestrian crossing on Cumberland Street, and a tourist being tended to by Bahamians on the forecourt, like right on the other side of the barrier. I'd hate to think that that was a tourist that got hit by a car or injured themselves trying to avoid a car or just got shocked enough to fall down at the recklessness they witnessed as they were trying to cross the road. But that ain't the point. The point is that, gosh, God forbid y'all do something to destroy the tourism industry. You know? That would be horrible. Anyway, then I made my way to the port, where I was leaving Arawaki to go to the port. If you're not familiar with the area, there's Arawaki, then there's a stop sign, then there's a staging area where trucks are supposed to line up before they enter the port. So I get to the intersection and I stop at the stop sign. Now, I'm not driving. I say that like I was driving. I just carry on like that in the car sometimes. But the driver stopped at the stop sign and was stunned to see a 18-wheeler reversing across through the intersection. No horn, no reverse. I don't think I heard a beep, beep, beep. And I was in the best part of the experience. There's nobody there directing traffic or directing the driver. The best part was the commercial vehicle that came speeding up behind us did not stop behind us, who was stopped at the stop sign, just turned around us, made a left around us, drove past the truck who was reversing through the intersection to go to the port. This is the port, people. The two most important places on the island are the airport and the seaport. So it turns out that the traffic and the movement of vehicles on the port is managed by the port. But the traffic and movement of vehicles between the port and Arawaki is managed by road traffic. I didn't want to say this, but after almost getting crushed this morning by two vehicles, I think it's important to say, y'all cannot be serious. You cannot be serious about anything. Anyway, my guest is here today to remind me that this is the best that it gets. So I want to say good morning to Mr. Cecil Nuri. How are you this morning, Mr. Nuri?
Good yawning this morning.
Good yawning.
It's always good to be on your show, and thank you very much for the birthday greetings. Unfortunately, I do not remember being born. And persons like me who pride himself with a great memory, I remember almost everything in detail. I think that something so significant, something so celebratory, I would have remembered.
Yeah. If it actually happened.
If it had actually happened, me being born, I would have known. I would have had some faint memory, and I could have said something.
Dear PLP, a member of your strategic team has lost their way, and they're in the building with me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Anyway, good morning. But I invited you here because you keep telling me that I got to catch myself. This is as good as it gets, and I don't believe you. I can't believe you that this is as good as it gets.
That's because you don't appreciate trends. Okay. When you appreciate trends and see what has been done, right, you will anticipate what will be done next.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the capacity, like I'll get a sense of what could they possibly achieve.
Yes.
That's more than what we have right now based on their trends of production.
Yes.
All right.
They have history, and history tends to repeat itself.
Cecil, they got a caller on the line. Let's get to this caller. Caller, you on the clock. You got 30 seconds. Good morning.
Early day to this dark voice along with you and Mr. Nuri.
Good morning, Bremen. How you doing?
We need justice, law, and order in this country.
Why, thank you, Bremen. I'm going to talk about it this morning.
Now, Mr. Nuri.
Hey?
How are you?
I'm always good. Blessings to you, man.
Wonderful. I listened to you on yesterday, right? On the Haija show.
Yes.
The way you had spoken of hello? You had spoken on of Glennis Hannah Martin.
And not the Prime Minister? Because I tend to speak about the Prime Minister, too.
Well, I was thinking of Glennis Hannah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You were indecent. Don't be doing that. That ain't nice.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right, Bremen. Thank you, Bremen. Now, Cecil, what did you say about my good cousin? I mean, don't repeat it, I guess.
But you forget it's our good cousin.
Yeah,
we all are family, though.
What did you say about our good cousin? And could it be
family tree.
Could it be worse than what I said, which was if she don't pack up her PLP Georgie bag and take the whole party and start again?
You said something far worse, because I would never be that impolite.
Yeah,
Never.
That's rude. Eh?
Yeah, that would be kind of abrupt. You know?
Well, see, because I can't believe what I heard, though, what I'm hearing.
Uh-huh.
That the minister came to the radio to tell us that 30% of the students have been missing for over 2 years.
And people like Bremen are comfortable with that without getting frustrated and irate and say, no, something is wrong.
Yeah, man.
I will not tolerate that type of excuse. They are willing to pander. They are willing to cheer. They are willing to say, don't worry about it. I'm not going to complain now because this is as good as it gets. And this goes right back to the narrative I said earlier. Behemoth do not expect much. So that's why they no longer complain. And that's just where we are.
See, because this is a big thing. Earlier in the day yesterday, I saw this tweet floating around from a reporter listing the highest tuitions, the tuitions by highest cost for grade 11. So I think starting with Life at Key, then Windsor Preparatory, and then St. Andrews, then QC.
Yes.
I think we went from 30,000. I think that maybe slightly went by half.
Yeah.
And then down by a little bit.
Then 27.
Right, 27. And then to 14.
Then to 23.
Right, and then to 6, I think.
Then it went to
QC.
To QC, yeah.
Right. And so to then hear this discussion on the government side.
Yes.
Right? First of all, let me tell you something. I didn't miss 1 day of school.
Never.
I got bit by a dog. Went to A&E. My Grammy said, look here, this foolishness taking too long. The child need to go to sleep. Grammy said, bring her to me in the morning. Grammy took me to the doctor. Got a shot right there, the needle.
Yes, he had to get injection.
And I said, I wasn't very bright all the time. I sit there in my uniform and I realized, hold on, I in my uniform, Grammy taking me back to school.
Well, of course.
So I didn't miss a whole day when my father passed away. I grew up in a culture that tell me education is the most important
There you go.
thing.
Preach it.
Right? And so how is it we in a society where
Behemoths are comfortable.
with the idea that children are not in school?
30% of them.
And even if you feel like, well, it ain't my children, it don't matter to you, that 30% is going to make up your working.
They don't value them. They don't value our children. But have the heart to call in and say, why are you so upset? I am upset because you don't value our children.
Now, I imagine some people are saying, well, are you rightly placing blame? Is Glennis at fault? Is Glennis responsible?
I'm speaking of the position, and then people speaking about people.
Right.
Whoever was the minister would have blamed.
They're going to get this.
And when I see my cousin Glennis, we would have hugged, and she said, boy, you mash up the minister. Not because it's not her I'm speaking to, because we will embrace as cousins and crack joke Badacklands.
Okay.
Right? But I am speaking about the minister, then de facto the ministry, then de facto the Department of Education who continues to fail our Bahamian children. We are quite comfortable.
Right, because
having a D average and bragging about it every year.
Yeah. And somebody's failing the children.
Somebody's failing the children.
And we could say all we want that, look, people are responsible for themselves, and even young people have to take a degree of responsibility.
But of course.
For their education. But you're getting paid to create an environment in which it is more likely that will happen.
And we must remember that the government has a duty of care to educate our children. Children have a right to be educated.
But not just to be educated, to a decent education, not just a decent education, I think that my interpretation of this Constitution and all of the human rights that they are founded on.
The right of the child.
That it's equal and equitable access to education as well. And so, I know this may seem far out of left field and it may upset some people, but is it unreasonable for me to say that, hey, I don't know if we can entertain opening a new school that will get in concessions from the government that is designed specifically for a small sector of the society, while you know that your public education system is failing. And you could tell me, well, as far as I'm concerned, a sufficient percentage of students are coming out of the system with an adequate grades, right? You could tell me that, but that doesn't mean your system isn't failing. If you fail one child, your system's failing. If you fail one teacher, your system's failing.
Erin, there's a reason why politicians send their children to private schools.
But listen, I thought you
There's a reason.
I thought you was gonna say there's a reason why they send them abroad
Even
to
worse,
school.
to make sure they don't go to those $4,000 high schools. They believe that's inadequate. Those 6,000, and calling, when I saying 4,000, 6,000, I mean QC and St. Augustine's. They don't want to send their children there. They want to send their children to get a better
You
education.
could imagine people saying QC is inadequate,
Inadequate.
but then you could imagine people saying Carl Bethel for Attorney General again.
Oh Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Good morning, comments. How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Don't worry. See, SAC have to claim Minnis, and Carl Bethel went to QC, right?
Yeah, he went to QC.
Yeah, and us comments, we got to claim Carl Bethel too. It just is what it is.
Shame. You know the bell of shame? Shame.
You ain't been to none of them schools where you been to SAC.
I know I gone to government high. I went to government high. The old government high.
Right, but, if this was a bit too much humor for you,
Yes.
I apologize. Because the truth is, what we're talking about is a heinous practice of systemic underdevelopment of certain classes and sectors of Bahamians.
Yes.
Right? And we could say all we want, education is the key, because guess what? I figured it out myself,
Go ahead.
I truly, and I still believe education is the key. Ideas are something if you give it away. But I continue to encounter people who look at me and tell me, I don't care how smart you think you are. I don't like you, and there's nothing for you in this space.
Yes.
Over and over again, right?
They pigeonhole you.
Right, but I'd still tell young people, education is the key, because with education, I and you can now carve out your own space to be in. You don't have to beg anybody for a space or to carve one out for you.
Yes.
But, so look here, what can we do? What can the private sector do to support the government or better retention of students? What can we do?
First of all, we need to acknowledge that we all have a duty of care to every Bahamian child. Every Bahamian child should have access to education to get that $30,000 a year at that top Windsor or that top St. Andrews. What was the next school they call Life Key?
Yeah.
Every child. If they go T.A. Thompson, if they go C.C. Sweden, the best student there should get the quality of education that is equivalent to those elite schools.
No, the worst student there.
The worst student
should get the quality
of their worst student or adequate
of the best. I mean,
access to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this is what it is. The worst student should have, because the worst student needs it.
Yes.
The worst student
in order
needs
to
it.
move from wherever they live now to the next. And you said, what can we do?
Yeah.
We all are responsible to ensuring that our kids learn and get access to education. That's corporate Bahamas, that's every citizen, and of course, that's the parents and government. And I'm putting forward that government is not doing an adequate job.
Yeah.
And who is ever at the helm of that particular sector is not doing an adequate job.
Yeah.
And if they are doing an adequate job and we are comfortable with what is happening to our students now and the grades they're receiving, and especially for the kid who wants to learn, who is handicapped for whatever social situation they're in, but is doing all they can and not making it, if we are comfortable with that, then that means something is wrong with us.
Absolutely. Well, here's what I say we do, right? Like, it's a shame that we took Phil's and turned it into the Small Business Development Center, but only for the fact that we could have taken it and turned it into a virtual learning center where people could come in, where kids could come in, walk in.
Opportunity loss.
And for me, what you could say, well, just because you bring them don't mean that they're going to do the work. Keep them in the environment.
Yes.
Keep them there. Bring the snacks. Tell them it's food, it's Wi-Fi. Come. Just no troublemaking. And eventually you encourage them to come into the classes, because that's better than them being in the bush smoking dope.
Erin, I'm not sure if you know that all libraries are closed. When I say closed, you cannot go inside to get a book, to read. You know the libraries have internet? You can't go inside to get access
But
to
can
the
you
internet.
sit outside and use the Wi-Fi?
Yes. I've go to Elizabeth Estates, Elizabeth Library. You can see children who go into public schools sitting outside, in the hot sun. I mean,
It's
hot.
almost as if y'all don't realize who you are here to serve.
Yeah.
You here to serve the poorest.
Yes.
You're not. Anyway, I was gonna say, you're not here to serve me, who could figure out where the free Wi-Fi gonna be, who done figure out how to find a easy, lightweight, portable chair
Yes.
to travel with. Your job is to serve these people.
And whose duty it is to let those children who want to learn, who's eager to learn, to know where the Wi-Fi is. Whose job is that?
Right.
You know, whose job it is to say, well, child, I see you sitting on the hot cement step outside of the library. Whose job it is to say, hey, here's one chair. Whose job it is to say, hey, I noticed that you were here all day trying to get on the internet and you ain't had nothing to eat. But I passed by, and since Wendy's is in the plaza, I decided to buy you on Wendy's to say, man, I'm impressed that you're even coming out here. Whose job is it? Should I be happy and say, well, the kids them don't want to learn, when I know I see the boy there want to learn,
Yes.
but just want a hand up,
But listen,
just need support. Should I be vexed?
Let me tell you where we are. I spent the last 9+ months, 10 months talking about the political culture. Why is that important? Because it's the political culture that's convinced us that little children don't want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a little children.
Yeah.
You was a little children.
Mm-hmm.
I know 1,000 coaches. Every day they marvel at how well the little children learn.
Yes.
When you focus on them.
Yes.
But it's a political class that refuses to be held accountable for their own failure and dereliction of duty, that would suggest to me and you that little children don't want to learn, and that's why a whole year of students
Yes.
could average out at D. Versus,
a year and a half of students. Remember the COVID? It's 2 years now. We're working on this.
oh no,
thing.
I wasn't even talking about COVID.
Oh, you're talking
no,
in general?
I was talking about before that.
Oh gosh.
This whole conversation that we should be satisfied with,
comfortable with
with a
it.
D average. Let me tell
We
you
are
all
comfortable
something.
with it. We brag about it now, actually. Oh, that's a D
And the
student.
people can tell you don't understand the science. You don't understand what a D average means.
It's a good grade now.
Listen, I don't think so. Let me tell you all the story. I got an A on math in 10th grade, and an A for achievement, and a C for effort. And I got in trouble.
Well, of course.
My uncle said, look here, if you tried harder, you could have built a spaceship. I know I did retell that story a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But that's the culture that I grew up in. It is dereliction of duty. It should be criminal. And then to hear that some people been getting paid
Yes.
from NIB
Yes.
while they was working other jobs. And we can't find money to keep toilet paper in the bathroom or to buy pads and tampons for young girls and women in the schools.
They think it's cute, Erin. They say, do not judge. Don't complain.
But-
Don't demand more. They are comfortable with this narrative. And I am concerned. I am sincerely concerned, especially when they call on the radio and say, you shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't be talking to people like that. You shouldn't be demanding more. You shouldn't be expecting more.
Demanding more? Look here.
I pay them. The thing is, I just pay them. I'm the boss. And they don't want
Let me show you something.
me. They don't want me to complain.
Every time ministers get up in the House of Assembly,
You suck your teeth? Oh, sorry.
no, a Chickchani,
Because I know I suck my teeth, but that's a different thing.
a Chickchani gets its wings.
Yes.
And they say the mischievousness has been successful. We did it, right? Like, what could you get up and tell anybody about anything? In fact, I used to be a comedian, right?
Yes.
I got prepare a whole review of this last FNM administration. Good morning, Mr. Jeffrey Lloyd. How are you doing? Let's get to these, because we're talking about education.
Yeah, of
sir.
course.
That's all. That's all.
Because he's bragging that he's going to fix everything.
In 100 days.
And 100 didn't happen.
Look here, I tell you.
4 years later, nothing.
Anyway, let's get to these texts, Mr. Nuri. First text, great show as usual. Question, how come no one mentioning the government proposal of putting a toll booth on the highway? Because it's madness. Sir, it's madness. You think I'm going to let the government hire a private company to manage the highway, me to pay them to drive on it, when we have people getting paid right now to do that job? That's madness. I'm going to tell you all a joke. Has anybody ever seen the police booth in the staging area between Arawaki and the official entrance to the port? Port? Has anybody seen that? This is the first time I sucked my teeth on the air, Cecil.
There you go.
Another text, great show as usual. Could I sue BPL because when I pay my light bill, I experience emotional distress? Well, listen, I saw a BPL car in my neighborhood this week. I didn't hear anybody come out to my house and check my meter that is not a digital meter. It's not. It's not a...
He absorbed the number. That's why.
Yeah, like Like how the FNM did its budget.
Yeah.
Just absorb
Absorbed it.
Another text, CA Bahamians too like to placate. Truth is truth. We have enough reports on the failing education system, and the attitude should be it's a crisis.
Crisis.
And we are attacking and resolving it as follows. Not we waiting on this report and this consultation. It's time to act. Time to act was a long time ago. We're talking about children. We're talking about the most fundamental, formative stage of their life.
The urgency is not there, Erin.
We're talking about the time to prepare them for adulthood. This is criminal.
People are prepared to wait. That's what's criminal.
Because they're getting paid.
And they call in the show and say they're prepared to wait. They don't care.
This text say, tell you happy belated birthday, sir.
Thank you kindly.
Another text, Miss Greene, the shock treatment must be redirected. This can have a long-term effect on these boys. Many young girls need an intervention program. Also, many parents have so many issues they need help. This program need more qualified persons with no growing problems. Many of the leaders have too many growing up problems. They are speaking and acting from their failed past. Okay, so here's what we know about the shock treatment program. They have good intentions.
Yes.
Right, we know this. We know that this program has positive outcomes. The question is, do the positives outweigh the negatives? And then the next question is, are some of these young men going down a path where no intervention is more detrimental than this particular form of intervention? And so at this point, what I will say is, just like we said with the COVID team, do you have psychologists and psychiatrists and community psychologists like Dr. Nyambi Dean Hall Campbell on your, Campbell Hall Dean on your team?
Why are we still guessing this, though?
But this is it.
We don't know. Mind you, I understand that they have great intentions, but the outline of what it all entails should have been already on the public. And
Man, look here, you want that to be public? We can't even get the There's so many things that should be public.
You see where the SACT come in?
Right.
You're getting the vaccination spirit
like
again?
incentives plan to use up vaccines. But listen, first of all, and when you hear the language, right? I don't know if we have enough time to get into this article, but when you hear the language, it's like you all really didn't think about this at all. You didn't think about what would actually be an incentive to a Bahamian. You all really just think that people are thingsy, that they just want things. Y'all don't consider that people are making serious or trying, attempting to make serious decisions about their health, their life, their future, their principles, and right? It's not a matter of, well, we give you 2 joints and you could take this job, you could smoke for free all weekend, but
There was a member of parliament say people just want jobs. They'll vote for you once you give them jobs. And this is similar to that narrative. It diminishes as a people of consciousness to say I've made a considerate decision not to take the vaccine.
right, and because that leads me, boy, look here, a serious considered decision to not take it. And I wonder, but surely jobs before, what's the incentive? Was there not an agent of the state in his capacity as a business owner on the thin line of coercing? I mean, some people call it coercing. I think I may have even called it coercing before. His employees to get vaccinated. People been getting vaccinated for jobs. But people need things like they need electricity. And they don't just need like a month of free electricity. They need electricity that stays on all the time. You know, people need like a year of internet service, but actual internet service you could use. You guys heard me, right?
Yes.
Because some of our service providers don't understand how their service works. I don't pay you for packets of internet, and I don't pay you for individual packets of electricity. I pay you for a continuous flow of electricity and a continuous flow of internet. And so you're not living up to the contract. Anyway, that's my music. We got to go to a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk briefly about Carnival and Junkanoo.
I like Junkanoo.
I like it too. So does most of the Bahamas. We can see what's happening though. Stay tuned to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. We'll be right back.
Food security. security is a challenge for many. Now in a pandemic, many more are unsure of their next meal. Through their Feed 5,000 program and a $20,000 donation, AML is working to ensure that everyone has a meal for the holidays, and they're inviting you to help. Now until December 17th, visit any Solomon's, Costrite, Fresh Market, or Domino's in Nassau or Freeport, and Exuma Markets in Georgetown to donate and help feed a family in need this Christmas. No amount is too small. Remember, we're all in this together.
At Fidelity, the holidays are all about family, spending time with loved ones, and being thankful for the little things in life. Worrying about bills should be the last thing on your mind, especially during the holidays. Let Fidelity help you get your bills under control. Fidelity can also get you started with a real savings plan that actually pays you interest. The only thing you need to think about is what you will do with the savings in your pocket this Christmas. Now that's what I'm talking about. Fidelity Bank is here for you this holiday season because you are family, and family is important to us.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Getting down. Say what? What you mean it's my birthday again already? You mean to tell me there's a whole year that passed? But I'll be. Listen. First thing what I can do, get on my knees and thanking you, Lord. God, you brought me through a rocky, rocky road.
Good yawning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. My guest Cecil Nuri is in with me today. We're slapping up some policy or lack thereof, right? And engaging some of the things that are happening around us that don't need to be happening like this. But anyway, I got a call on the line. We're going to get to some text, and then we're going to close out the show. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Good morning, Erin Greene.
Good morning. How are you?
And your co-host. Now, I've heard the two CEOs of Pfizer and Moderna said they put that vaccine and mixed with Omicron and Petri dish, and Omicron beat up the vaccine. So they're stuffing around this. By March, their vaccine will incorporate the new Omicron. But they say in the meantime, get the third job. So I'm getting two different stories. They're in the mad dash right now to include the Omicron in the vaccine to come in March. So I mean, this is my house now. Now, probably the next thing come. So if you be taking vaccine, tell me then.
Well, you notice that you take a flu shot every year, right?
Look like to me, look like this, but they sell it to us like this is one and done thing.
Well, I'll tell you what. One of the things I pointed out from the beginning of this discussion is that politicians and scientists don't speak the same language. Politicians speak in absolutes because absolutes are required to obtain power.
Because for me, HIV virus goes from 40 years from now, 40 years, there's no vaccine. So a vaccine takes from then. I don't know how could they come up so fast in a year with this so-called vaccine.
Let me ask you a question, and then I got to push forward. Are you prepared for your government to invest in whether it's public or private-public partnership in enhancing your healthcare system and your science and industry environment to the point where we could develop our own vaccines?
To me, my government has no check and balance system. So I want to have no trust in them. Nobody goes to jail. Unlike you, if you choose to go to jail. We have no system to checkmate them.
All right. I got to go.
Rich.
Listen, I got to go. I got a lot of texts, but thank you very much. You know, one of the things I'd like to see is for the government have a real, to add an element to their COVID advisory committee or their COVID committee that is a communications arm that helps people disseminate and understand information as it's being published and shared with the world. I think that would be a great addition to your team. Another text, Erin, C.A. Nuri is right. Why are the places for students to learn and get Wi-Fi closed like the library? Because we don't really care about them. Another text, Greene and Nuri, please note that this system was created to keep many poor and uneducated. I believe PM Davis will make the difference. He is the first family island PM. Abaco is not a traditional family island. It's the third city. Life is different on Abaco than the other family islands. Did you listen to the talk show with Mr. Levon Miller on shock treatment? They seem to have all poor past experiences. They seems to believe that the military mind will make the difference. Look how they talk to the public and the forces. Okay, so what you see in is people who may have had some dysfunction in their own lives, recommending to others what has worked for them. That's what that is, right? Let's not just say they failed people and they're trying to bring their No, they are obviously people, if they had a problem, they have been able to resolve it and build themselves up as good, wholesome citizens. And they're trying to use the tools that they know and understand because they worked for them to help others. So we're not going to diss them. We're just going to increase and grow their toolkit. We're going to give them more tools to work with. It's not their experience alone that can heal the world. And so it's our job to help grow their toolkit. What do you say, Cecil?
I agree.
Yeah. My concern with shock treatment is that we as adults may not necessarily be mature enough or grounded enough to measure our own engagement, emotional intelligence, personal control, and discipline. And also I have a big problem with embarrassing children in the public, especially in this era, because it would have never happened in my era, because the technology didn't really exist like that, you know, and so I'm very concerned about that. We need to have that empathy for young people. See, so I got a text here that says, good morning, Erin and guests. I'd like to know what the national average was from independence to now. We also need to know that this is a system we are fighting. Politicians want their voters to stay a certain level of education to keep them dependent on the politician. And sometimes it's not as nefarious as that, you know. If you have a system that's running at a D average, right? Your system is running at a D. Everybody in the system understand how that system works. You get a smarty pants like Erin Greene come into place with 3 or 4 bright ideas. They may be brilliant, you know, and they may actually work if implemented properly. But that's not the problem. The problem is, how do you change a system overnight? How do you enhance the system? So in the process of improving it, you may make it more dysfunctional than it already is. Another text morning, the black race is under attack, have been from time memorial. It said time and memorial, and I wasn't sure if that was correct or not. I just said it different. What kind of foolishness Zedness had on? Someone is very upset about a documentary discussing a criminal, someone who is labeled a serial killer, but I don't think that they are. Anyway, they were very concerned about how the story was treated, and they felt that the company airing it should have done a better job at it. Thank you, text. I'm sorry I didn't do your text justice. Now, I just want this person to know that we read their text. It says, how dare Cecil speak toward the Minister of Education the way he did? I mean, it is exactly the way all responsible citizens should speak, but how dare you do it, sir? 1 second. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock. Good morning, caller. You still there?
Hello, good morning, Ms. Greene.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. You know, I'm in shock with Mr. Erin, he said about the libraries being closed, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm listening to you guys. It's a great show, and I'm juxtaposing the dropout rate before the pandemic, which was, I think, 40 to 50%. So they're not bearing that in mind. But in my words, I mean, the Ministry of Education, Gladys Allen Martin, showed more verbal agency post-election, right? But Erin, you know, just do me a favor, the Academy of Ideas, there's a topic named Why Do Public Schools and Mainstream Media Dumb Us Down, right? They're really designed to reduce intellectual curiosity. And this is words coming from them now. Even I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was a public school teacher, and he turned public school education critic. And they said most of the schools in the system is designed to produce automata or androids or robots. And that's what I see. This is all by design, Erin. I'm telling you, it's hard to really get it together. This is the reason why they don't want to hear me on the radio. Everybody wants to live a lie, but reality is looking us in the face every day. But God help us all. Bless up.
Respect 52. It's not that everybody wants to live a lie, but it turns out sometimes living the truth is much harder than living that lie, sir. But I'm so glad that you came here, because we couldn't end the discussion with sort of taking a spotlight.
If you'd like to make a call,
at
please hang up and
taking a spotlight and putting it at the pinnacle of education in the country, UB. And so we could see that even at the tertiary level, at the highest level, we having issues with the culture of appreciation of culture of education, because we haven't chosen a president yet. Have they? I mean, maybe they've chosen it, but they haven't announced it yet. Who's going to announce it? Is this not important? Is the smooth running of your country's highest educational institution not important? I don't want to talk about the grumblings and the things that I'm hearing in the background, but I tell you what, if the university, if the Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas get up and say, well, listen, this is who we picked, and we're still waiting to find out who the answer is, that suggests to me that there's a problem going on. I was trying to draw a thread through all of the discussions we had this morning, but I didn't get to touch on all of them. I wanted to talk about Carnival. I drove past, I had to see it with my own eyes. I have a friend who's telling me, don't even trust it in the newspaper. You gotta go see it with your own eyes. So I waited until I could see it with my own eyes to go see that the Carnival site had actually started putting up their equipment. And the Minister of Health is still in today's paper saying, I ain't getting nobody permission to do nothing yet. So I was trying to draw a thread between all of these things. We even get to the second part of that discussion is, if Carnival, why not Junkanoo, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to say this, is it that the political class does not think these issues or matters are important enough to take them seriously and ensure that they can be dealt with in an appropriate manner? Is it that you're not worried about your children accessing books because you got tablet and you got internet and you got money and you got Fire Stick and you could do whatever you want? Is that what it is? Are you not worried about traffic because you got insurance and you got money and you could just buy a new car? Or you know how to pay off people? Because plenty of important people in the political class like to not honor their insurance obligations. Plenty. Is it that the political class just doesn't care enough? See, because then when you realize that we spend millions, if not billions of dollars a decade advertising the Bahamas, people who get paid the best salaries working in the Bahamas go to Christmas and vacation in other people them country. And some of those people getting paid to promote the Bahamas, Is it that the people who are in charge don't care about these matters and the people who are most impacted by them? And that's the sort of thread I was trying to draw this morning, Mr. Cecil, with your assistance. With your assistance. And there's another text who's saying they're very concerned about the shock treatment program. And what I want to say is, I guess at this point, dear Bahamas Broadcasting Corporation, Ministry of National Security, put out a call to interested parties, make an assessment of who would be a good fit, who can add value to this project, because people are concerned. People are concerned about their country. It's your job to create an environment in which they can assist, where they could make better decisions, where they could help the government fulfill its obligations. It's your job. But as long as you think that people are stupid, as long as you think that people don't care, as long as you don't care about them, you will never create the environment necessary to achieve our goals. That's what I was trying to say, Cecil. But I all out of time. So I guess now all I could do is tell you again, happy birthday. Tell all my friends and my little cousin, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Helen Arlington. Play that song. I say a little prayer for you. I think I did send it Liana LaHavis or Rita Franklin. Surprise me. But I'm going to leave you guys on a happy note, because don't mind how I come on this radio and reel. Every morning when I wake up, I say a little prayer for you. I do. Anyway, we got to go. Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Arlington. You've been tuned into 96.9 FM, On the Clock with Erin, Greene. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned for Levon Miller.